Show, where we talk about hard things, whether it's comfortable or not. We think those conversations are necessary and important. We think that having different opinions is crucial to a healthy discourse. So saddle up, and enjoy the fireside chat.
Hey, William.
How's it going today?
Well, I'm in a new home office.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Should I zoom myself out so we're like matching a little bit or a little bit
Oh,
closer to matching?
sure. Since I'm in a
I
room
can
in
do
my
that.
basement on a green screen because I got
I,
kicked out of my studio. So w- we really need some production assistance is what we need. And you're muted on your end. I don't know what happened. I think yeah.
yeah, we could do with production assistance when we're rich and famous and
Yeah.
make it big.
But until
When we're
then
the
we do it
next
ourselves.
when we're the next armchair experts, then we can afford production assistance.
There we go.
We'll go make it there.
So for those of you who might be watching this later, it's a new time today because I have a shindig this evening that I wanted to go to. So we just moved the show up
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to get her done today with Sean Hannity.
It's the perks of running our own shows. We can do that.
Yes. What are you doing with the cable?
Fiddling the cable. It's too short to do what I was doing with it. I was trying to hide it and it didn't work out.
That's always a problem with men.
Oof.
Did I say that out
Ouch.
loud?
Maybe.
I am really bright.
Yes.
Let me just pull this back a little bit. That's a little bit better. Well, before we get on with it, if you'd like to support the show, you can buy us a coffee. Oh, you know what? I never added my green screen to this scene.
I'll continue the shilling though. If you'd like to support the show, you can support us at buymeacoffee.com/Will and Dave Show. For the price of a cup of coffee, you can help support the show as we try to grow it and evolve it into what we think it can and should be.
Yeah. What he said.
What I said.
Yeah.
Listen to me. Listen to what I mean, not to what I say.
And for those of you who wish to know, the real sponsor of the show is Stitched by Susan, who is your mother, my wife, who has a thriving online
Community?
persona and community, yes. And we are very thankful to her for the software that we use for doing what we do. Thank you.
She's a big podcast. She's a podcast and her quilting business, but she's big enough that she has the programs that we need, and so we just piggyback. We're riding her coattails, so to speak.
We mooch off your mom.
Yes. As we have most of our lives, let's be real here.
That's a fair statement. Very true. So how's your week been, William?
It's been pretty good.
Is it cold up in Fort St. John?
It's been off and on. It was really warm, or it was really cold last weekend, and then it was pretty warm on like Thursday, Friday, and today's mild.
Like how mild is mild?
Last time I poked my head outside was last night. I can find the temperature. The internet is an amazing thing.
Yeah, but that's cheating. Were you cold yesterday? Yeah.
No, I was not particularly cold. And today it's actually above zero, so it is very, very mild. It's quite nice.
Which for those of us in the normal world, that'd be 32 degrees.
Yeah, something like that.
Above
a little warmer than 32 degrees.
So if you say above freezing, then it's universal. If you say it's below freezing, it's universal.
Okay. Whatever. Slightly above freezing.
As the old man, I'm schooling you.
Yes. But in happier news, what I did get to do this week is while we were working on maintenance stuff at my workplace, I got to learn how to weld.
Oh, cool.
I got to do a whole bunch of metalworking type stuff, which is what I want to do with my life in general going forward. So I was really excited to get my hands on that. And I got my hands on some materials to try making some stuff of my own. So I'm very excited with that.
Who is our other sponsor? Actually, why don't you introduce our other sponsor of the episode?
I can. The other sponsor of the show is Northern Truss. So Northern Truss is a company here in the North Peace that provides trusses and I believe floor beams and other accoutrements to those of you who are building buildings.
There's the newest word for the day, accoutrement.
Yeah, there you go.
Now I know the Now, I know the owner of Northern Trust. He doesn't even know what accoutrement is.
Yeah, he's going to give me crap for that. But that's why he keeps me around. So, but yes, building our community one project at a time. Northern Trust for all your trust needs.
That is true. So, William, I'm wondering if we should we go into Hannity first, or should we go and do the fun stuff first?
I want to keep the fun stuff at the end because the Hannity it might devolve into grouchiness by the end of it. We'll see.
Well, if it is, it'll be both of us grouchy. I had to do the editing for the clips. I had to take a break in the middle. I don't like.
Yeah, I had to go find the clips, and I'm taking a break from Fox News for a good long while after this because I've watched a lot of Fox News in the last 48 hours. But
so we're going to get into
you.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, for those of you who are just tuning in and haven't seen the previous couple of episodes, we've been on this sort of series or kick in the new year where we're looking at other media where there's talk between the two different political spectrums or ideological spectrums. So left-wing, right-wing, progressive, conservative. And the last two episodes have been very positive expressions of that, both with the Big Think YouTube video featuring Van Jones, who had really cool stuff to say. And then last week when we had an interview with Ben Shapiro and Sam Harris on Ben Shapiro's podcast, we had so many positive things to say about their interactions and their conversations. And it was really nice. We thought that this week we should take a look at the opposite of that. We should take a look at where two different people with different ideological standpoints get into a conversation, and it's not a great time. Now, there's obviously lots of like popcorn moments we could pick from with people like, what's his name? InfoWars guy, Alex Jones. We're not going to go quite that.
I don't even like saying his name.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
And I don't like the guy, although I have a different reason and perhaps than you do, but yeah.
Anyway, we're not stooping that low. We're going with Sean Hannity. And so this is a clip or a show that aired on Sean Hannity's show on Fox News, where he interviewed the then mayor of New York City, Joe de Blasio. Joe de Blasio? Yeah, I think it's his name.
No, it would be Bill de Blasio, but yeah.
Bill de Blasio, thank you.
De Blasio is good enough.
De Blasio.
Just the last name should give you enough hint, but
it should. So yeah, here we go.
You sort of have a sanctuary city, and those are.
I don't accept any of these terms. I want to talk about facts.
But here's the facts. Bill de Blasio has nearly 500,000 illegal immigrants in his city. Those are the facts. Those are the census facts. And you said you want New York taxpayers to pay for their health care.
John, right now, this is another charade, and you have to decide how honest you want to be.
I'm being.
So where do people get that health care?
Is that not true?
No. Where do they get their health care?
Wait a minute. Did you not say that?
Wait.
I'm being. You just accused me of being dishonest.
I'm asking
Are there 500,000?
500,000 people.
Do you want free health care for everyone?
I want every New Yorker. I'm answering your question.
Legal or
every
illegal?
New Yorker, everybody who's here,
illegal or illegal,
to get health care because what's happening right now? Folks go to the emergency room because they don't have a doctor, and who's paying for it? The same taxpayers.
So the answer,
taxpayers.
It's a simple question. The answer is yes. You support New York City.
Hang on. Why not have an honest conversation about the reality?
Let me finish my thought. Just to be clear, 500,000 illegal immigrants in New York City should get free health care. That's what you just said.
Everybody who lives here should get the health care they need, so that everyone can be healthy, not get each other sick.
Even if they're illegal.
Even if they're undocumented.
Perfect.
I'll tell you why. Because otherwise, what's happening, people go to the emergency room, the taxpayers pay anyway, people get sicker. So these are human beings who are part of our economy, who are part of our neighborhood, right? Every neighborhood in the city. There's not a sign that says who's undocumented, who's not.
I got your answer. I understand.
Now, I want to know what, wait, two-way street. So do you agree that people go to the emergency room when they're sick?
I think that we should.
And we end up paying for it anyway.
If you want to change the laws.
Oh, hold on. I think you muted, Will.
Not to hold us on a pedestal, but that is like worse than any of our worst arguments.
Well, I just want to say, before we move on into that the point of this episode is not that we agree on the content or the not content. It's on the interviewee and the interviewer not allowing each other to finish a statement.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it was hard editing this as they never stopped over talking each other, and Sean Hannity was the worst.
Mm-hmm.
just for not shutting up and allowing de Blasio to finish a sentence. It was hard to find a cut point for these clips.
And I might be getting ahead of myself here, but another episode that I have in the works for doing something similar to this, where we show a terrible interview style, is one involving oh my God, I think of his name, Jordan Peterson, being interviewed, and it has a lot of the same issues as this, but in the sense that Hannity keeps taking whatever de Blasio says and translating it and feeding him back, not necessarily with these words, but with the implication. So what you're saying is, why don't we just listen to what de Blasio is saying? I'm not saying I agree with what de Blasio is saying, but giving him a chance to actually get a fully formed idea out would be nice.
It was interesting in the interview, or in that one, it was asking him if he was okay with the illegal aliens or the illegal immigrants having health care.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought that he answered the question. He thought everyone needs health care, which in my mind, if you say everyone needs health care, it sort of is an answer to your question, should the illegal immigrants have health care? I believe
and he
everyone.
even elaborated on it by saying that they're going to go to emergency anyways. They're still going to get some level of health care, and the taxpayers are still going to pay for it because the immigrants aren't going to be able to pay the bills.
So it's not agreement with the issue, as I'm sure we could have a conversation on that.
Oh, yeah.
It just is allowing his answer to stand.
Yeah.
He thinks everybody needs health care. Okay. Obviously, Sean does not agree with that, but he was very clear with that when he opened the question up. And so I don't think
he gave a little bit of nuance to the answer. It wasn't just a yes or no. There was some expository explanation behind it.
And I don't agree with either one of them on this topic, except I'm near on the Sean side, obviously, as a.
I'm still curious. I couldn't figure out how I didn't have very much time to look into it. I was just doing it right before the show. I don't know how Sean Hannity got his 500,000 undocumented immigrants, because they're undocumented. How do you know? They're not going to be filling out a census form voluntarily. I don't know how they figure that number out. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying I don't know how.
It's the same way they get information on homeless people. They sort of they do these random these polls in areas.
So it's kind of like multiply. A data point that they just Okay.
Yeah, and interestingly, there was no argument on the numbers from de Blasio. He was agreeing with the 500,000. So obviously it's a real number somewhere. But on to clip 3.
Extended family. You can check it out. I applied to be a New York City police officer.
Okay, I'm going to pause this, Will, before I continue. As I extended this one from Will's clip, I had a little bit at the beginning and where there's a human moment from Sean Hannity, and I appreciate that. So I'm going to start this over. I just had to include a human moment from Sean Hannity.
You can check it out. I applied to be a New York City police officer, and I got a 99 on the test. I even passed the psychological, and then the physical. I was going to do the job.
Standards were lower back then.
You're such a jackass. that was a jackass comment, but it was very good. But here's the point. I love these guys. We see them doused with water. We see these guys now. Those are felony assaults against our bravest.
And those folks are being arrested who did that.
All right. So I want this promise from you, and I hope we'll agree on this. I want every video gone over with a fine-tooth comb. And every one of those people that assaulted your officers, our officers, that put a gun on because their jobs are dangerous every day, that protect and serve, I want a promise from you that you're going to identify every one of those people that attack those guys.
That's what we do. That is what we do.
But that hasn't happened yet.
Oh, come on.
You haven't arrested every one of them by a stretch. How many have been arrested?
They've been identified and arrested consistently. The NYPD does its job.
How many have been arrested?
Wait. Are you saying the NYPD?
Look at the videos. Look at these videos.
Wait, I'm asking you a question. Are you saying the NYPD is not doing their job? Well, let me give you some news.
I am saying that those cops deserve better than that.
They deserve the very best, and we are arresting each and every one of the folks who did any assaults.
You can look right here. I want you to look.
You're missing. Wait.
Every single guy, every single face we see, will you arrest them?
Sean, anybody the NYPD deems to have committed a crime will be arrested. Listen, I want to say, respect the professionalism. No, respect the professionalism of the NYPD, that they are going to follow the law and go after anyone that did anything illegal.
Why do you make this so hard?
Because you're playing a game.
I'm not playing a game.
This is a serious thing.
No, Mr. Look, that's serious. I'm serious as a heart attack.
Do you not think the NYPD knows how to do its job? Because I know they know how to do their job.
Here's my question: as the mayor of New York City, you are their boss.
Answer the question. Do they know how to do their job?
Again, you get your own show. When I run for president,
I just don't hear you answering.
Right. Here's what
I'm going to tell you. They know how to do their job. They know how to do their job. They have brought down crime consistently. We're the safest big city in America.
I give you credit.
Why don't you just respect the fact that these guys know what they're doing and they're going to bring everyone to justice?
Okay, you made your point.
Because I know that.
You made your point.
I know that.
Here's my question for you. Every person on video that is assaulting...
Everyone who's committed a crime will be brought to justice.
Every single person...
Everyone who's committed a crime will be brought to justice.
Will you promise?
This is incredible. That's not a good enough statement for you, that everyone who commits a crime will be brought to justice? That's America.
Is everyone in that video committing a crime?
I believe our professionals who are police officers know who commits a crime and they will bring them to justice.
Is that video evidence to you of an assault?
Why do you not respect the NYPD enough to believe they know what they're doing?
That's a silly statement. We're an NYPD hat and shirt every day.
So then why don't you respect them to do their job?
Is that a crime that we're looking at? Yes or no?
Sean, you either respect them or they don't. Don't play a game here.
Wears a NYPD shirt and hat every day. He never changes it. Maybe it's a T-shirt. Maybe
it's like his gym shirt is an NYPD gym shirt. He's just so hyped for the NYPD.
I think the biggest thing to me was the pointing finger, the whole thing, a pointing finger, and reaching into the camera frame as it was on de Blasio.
Yeah. And I can imagine him holding his glasses in the other hand. Like, I don't know why Hannity has his glasses in his hand the entire bloody interview. I don't even know where to begin with that clip. Actually, no, I do know where to begin. I'm going to begin right from the very beginning. Okay. So when Hannity asks for that concrete statement from de Blasio, that's a what's the word? There's a term, not non sequitur, but it's an unwinnable situation for de Blasio, and Hannity knows it.
It's actually in our in our invitation for guests. Mm-hmm. There actually is a statement: "Is we will not ask a gotcha question," and that's a gotcha question.
Yeah.
There's no way he can win.
Exactly. Yeah. If de Blasio says yes, we will firmly, then Hannity will be like, "Well, you haven't." And a month from now, he'll call it. He said he would, but he didn't.
That's right.
But if de Blasio gives a slightly more nuanced answer, like everyone that committed a crime will be brought to justice, it's not a whole lot of extra nuance. That's just him saying, when we've confirmed that they have committed a crime, we will bring them to justice. And that's not good enough.
Well, it also is a little bit of politics. And in fairness to Hannity, as much as I don't like Hannity, he skirts the issue in saying anybody who committed a crime, he may not think that throwing a bucket of water or a ball or a squirt gun at a cop is a crime. So it gives him an out. And Hannity was saying, "Are you going to arrest everyone in the videos?"
Yeah, and
there's a whole lot of gamemanship on both sides. Although the interviewer should be above that, I think, for me.
I would like to think so.
I'd like to think that we're above it.
I mean, I like to think so. We're still learning, but at least we're not trampling over our guests. We trample over each other now and then.
Case in point.
Case in point. Yeah, it's yeah. There's so much, like, looking at the videos of these cops getting doused. It ranges anywhere from like buckets being dumped on them to just getting a little squirt gun. Like, I mean, apart from the fact that the African American kids that are running around, or the black kids that are running around squirting cops with guns in New York City, are really rolling the dice on themselves there a little bit, considering the current political climate. But
well, yes and no, because there is this environment in the U.S. especially where you probably won't get arrested for doing something like that, as it's not worth the paperwork or the headache or the newsreels. So they really aren't rolling the dice, as they're safe because they're not going to get arrested. And that, I believe, is Hannity's argument. He's a jackass in how he asked it.
Yeah. Like I say, like you just pointed out, you just asked a much better question on the same lines in about 10 seconds flat than Hannity managed to get out in that entire 3-minute clip.
Yeah. Oh my God! I played a 3-minute clip of Hannity.
Almost 3 minutes.
Ay,
I know.
ay, ay.
I know. We're
And
really
my eyes and
denigrating
ears
ourselves
aren't
today.
bleeding. On to clip 4, and this will be our last one, thankfully, for the day.
All right, so we covered a lot of ground with Mayor de Blasio. Get right back to our interview where I asked the mayor to explain his party's extreme abortion agenda and whether he thinks there should be any restrictions on the procedure at all. Pretty simple question. Does he answer it? Take a look. Okay, now, we have a lot of controversial issues. Do you support any restrictions on abortion?
Look,
That's a simple question.
It's a simple answer. I believe in Roe v. Wade. I believe the decision is between a woman and her doctor.
Right. But where it's gotten controversial is, for example, in Virginia, when you have a bill proposed that would allow during birth dilation abortions, and a governor of Virginia that said, well, first we're going to birth the baby, make the baby comfortable, hang on, then we'll let the mother decide. Do you support any restrictions on abortion? No, that's a simple question.
It's a simple answer. I believe in Roe v. Wade and the choice.
Roe v. Wade would send it back to the states.
Again. What you're going to do, and I respect that this is your job. I have a job to do, too. Your job is to try and make this sometimes a cartoon, and I'm trying to tell you what this is about, a woman's right to choose, which is under attack right now.
I live in New York. I have many friends that are Democrats and consider themselves pro-choice. But, for example, do you think a woman in the 9th month, putting aside health, putting aside life of the mother, do you support any restrictions until the baby's born? That's a simple question.
No, I believe it's a smokescreen because it doesn't happen in America. Women make this choice. It's a sacred choice for women.
There are now 10 states that are debating whether or not you can have
a sacred choice for women.
10 that are allowing people to have an abortion up until the moment of birth. Do you support that?
Listen, here's the problem with this whole discussion.
You won't answer.
No, the problem is that women make this choice. It's a very difficult choice. It's a very personal choice. And what we need to respect is that's not a choice any woman wants to make.
Okay, 8 months into pregnancy.
Overwhelmingly, Americans believe in protecting the right to choose.
I'm asking what you believe.
You
want to be president. 8 months into a pregnancy.
I told you what I believe.
I don't understand your answer. Here's my simple question. 8 months into pregnancy, should a woman be allowed legally to have an abortion?
Again, I've told you I believe women's right to choose, period. This is a smokescreen.
Yes.
It's a smokescreen. No, I'm not answering your way. I'm answering my way.
Let's move on.
Let's not move on.
Okay, I want to start with some slight clarification. Hannity's questions were all over the place in terms of the severity of abortion. So his initial question, which was involving Virginia and dilation and evacuation, or D&E, I had to Google it because I didn't know much about it. And obviously Hannity or Hannity's team didn't bother to, because he implies then later in the interview that's 8 months into a pregnancy, which it is not. D&E is done most commonly between the first and second, or the end of the first and the end of the second trimester. So we're talking early to mid pregnancy.
I'm not going to argue the abortion issue as
yeah. I'm just using this as to highlight the fact, not that Hannity is right or wrong, but that, well, yeah, that he's feeding, he's just scattergunning crap at de Blasio, hoping that something sticks, or that de Blasio trips and stumbles on something, I'm assuming, rather than actually talking about the topic at hand.
So I get his angst at the lack of answer, as de Blasio did not answer his question, and I get that, but you also never gave him a chance to answer the question, as every time he'd begin an answer. Now, in his defense, the answers were always a political, I respect the right to choose, which is not really an answer, but
he never would have known it. Maybe de Blasio had more of an answer lined up. We'd never know.
Right.
I mean, I don't think he did, but we wouldn't know.
Right. The whole point of this is that you don't have to convince the interviewee to agree with you. Mm-hmm. And it seemed in this interview, in every one of these clips and in others, as I did watch all of it, it was an argument for convincing, not an argument for learning.
Yeah.
And there was no way that there was going to be any consensus except the fact that It was a jackass question.
Yeah,
The
that was
first
the
one.
closest we
Yeah.
got to like
To a human moment where they were smiling at each other.
yeah.
It's
It's a prime example. Like the reason I saw this one, I was like, "Ooh, that's the one." When I was looking for some sort of show or episode to talk about and to react to
Right.
here, the reason I picked that one is because of that. Like this is a prime example of how not to have a constructive, informative discussion with somebody
Right.
that you clearly and before the fact and after the fact still don't agree with.
That's true.
And this is just a poster child for like this is a more politicized poster child, but still
Right.
a prime example of how not to do it, how not to engage in conversation with somebody that you don't agree with.
Right.
All this is going to do is make them hate each other more.
It's not hard, folks.
Yeah.
Have a coffee with somebody, hear them out, and don't argue with them. You don't have to agree.
Yeah. But I want to make special mention of how we converse like this online. Because it's one thing. Like I don't know many people that actually talk like that in real life, no matter how much I might disagree with them.
And
But I
that's
know
true.
tons of people, and they're this. Many of them, there is overlap. They're the same people who would never talk like that in real life, in a face-to-face conversation. But they'll do it on Facebook. They'll do it on Twitter.
Right.
And I don't think that's healthy for either side. I don't think that's healthy for me if I'm trying to understand someone else's point of view. I'm not going to want to if they're just being a jackass. And also, I don't think it's healthy for them to be able to have that kind of aggressive outlet of ideas, because that's not helping anything or anyone.
Right. It's not. It's one of those where we talk about a lot.
Sure.
It's okay to not agree.
Gasp.
It's okay. It happens to us regularly.
Yeah. Literally every time we talk.
Yeah. There's not a lot of disagreeing today, actually, surprisingly. So we were on a cruise your mother and I were on a cruise in 2012, I believe. And Hannity was on the cruise as an interviewee.
No way.
Yes.
I didn't know this.
Yes, Michael W. Smith was going to interview him. He flew in for this interview on the ship, and he flew out after the interview. Like he flew in on a helicopter to the ship. It was funny. And
rich people.
Rich people, yes. And it was the worst interview ever, as he never let Michael ask a question. He even admitted in the interview, in the theater, he said, yeah, he said, I suck at this as I'm usually the one who's doing the interview. And he made a joke of it. But it was the worst thing ever. As Michael W. Smith, it was like an hour and a half long. And it was a complete waste of our time. And not because he didn't ask him hard things, but because he couldn't ask a question. Sean Hannity would talk over him. And it was so frustrating for those of us in the audience who he was billed as one of these guests on the cruise, and he was the worst guest ever. I'd rather have Kermit the Frog. And the fact of the matter is
I believe in Roe v. Wade and women's right to choose.
Is I believe a lot of the things he does, and I agree with some of his positions, but it's hard to defend him when he's a jackass.
Yeah. It's funny hearing that about him, because obviously this is partially humorous, partially not. I look at people like Sean Hannity and any other talking head on mainstream media, whether left or right. And you have to wonder if they do that every day. Like, that's how they talk. That's how they interact.
Yeah.
Day in, day out, every day. That can't be healthy.
Well, I don't think it is, though, Will. I think it is a persona.
Yeah, but even a persona, if you enact it that often, that has to bleed into your personality a little bit. I'm not blaming Hannity for that. I'm saying that as like it's an unfortunate byproduct just of the job that he works. I mean, if you work in a cutthroat industry, inevitably some of that cutthroatness kind of bleeds into your personal life. It takes a strong person to mitigate that and to avoid it.
I don't know. I have a friend who is a friend of Alice Cooper's.
Mm-hmm.
And any of you who don't know who Alice Cooper is, just Google him. You'll figure it out. He is a like hard rocker. He goes on stage. He bites the heads off of chickens. He dances with snakes, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But he is a different guy off of stage.
Mm-hmm.
A completely different guy. He is a golfer. He's born again Christian. He has an act, and then he has him, and he has learned how, and he has interviews online about this, about how he's learned to, it's a job, it's a persona. It's like,
mm-hmm.
for him, it's working at Safeway, or for him, it's working on the stage. He has managed, there's him and there's the act. And then you have, well, I don't know. I guess I'm disagreeing with you a little bit.
That's fair.
Is you are able to have a persona here and a different one here. It is
mm-hmm.
possible. It doesn't seem like that happens with some of these. Although I have heard that out of Tucker Carlson, who you love.
Love in pieces.
Yeah. Isn't he the one who you said it made you want to switch sides? No.
By switch sides, you mean like sides of the living and the unliving? Maybe. That's about it. That's the only side Tucker Carlson makes me want to switch from to.
He is apparently a really neat man away from the camera and the microphone. You take a microphone, the camera away, and he's a decent guy.
I mean,
it's hard for us to believe.
I really hope so.
But
yeah, I'm not saying this to be sarcastic or to be snarky, but I hope so. Like, I genuinely hope that it is just an act and that he is the nicest of human beings. I hope that someday I can run into Tucker Carlson at a Starbucks and shoot the shit with him and have a great... No, I really do. I mean this genuinely. I hope I can have that experience someday in my life. Like, I love...
No, you don't either. You would never get on a subway car with Tucker Carlson.
I mean, I would get on a subway car in general because they terrify me, but I would love to have that opportunity. I don't think I ever will. But it would be a wonderful opportunity, and I mean that as genuinely as I can.
So we have one more clip.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to end the night.
Happy news, unrelated to politics.
Completely unrelated to politics or interview styles or jackassedness of any kind.
Do we want to explain what it is first, or do we want to run the clip first and explain afterwards?
You can explain it since it was your idea, and I thought it was a great
one.
Hey.
Well, it was announced this past week that there's going to be a sort of biopic made of the life and times of Weird Al Yankovic, who I grew up listening to. Dad grew me up listening to it.
I did. I'm guilty as
Weird
charged.
Al is a big part of our childhood and my young life and Dad's adult life. And
I'm going to shoot that kitty so full of lead. We're going to use him for a pencil instead.
Yeah. And the best part is that one of my favorite actors in the scene right now is going to be portraying him. It's going to be Daniel Radcliffe playing Weird Al, which I'm really excited to see. I'm really genuinely excited to see it. But
by changing the lyrics and making them about food.
In the spirit of that, we're going to roll a Funny or Die clip about a spoof biopic.
Right. And this is one, so the people who made this one are the ones who are making the real one. So here we go.
By changing the lyrics and making them about food, you could change the world.
Nobody wants to hear a parody song when they can hear the real thing for the same price.
2 words. Eat it.
Coming to stage next, this guy's a first-timer, Weird Al Yankovic.
Hope you guys are ready for this.
Just eat it, get yourself an egg and beat it.
Hi, I hear you're gonna parody one of my songs.
Maybe.
I like that.
Doesn't matter if it's spoiled or fried, just eat it.
Oh, you're so weird.
Just
That kid's got the goods.
I'm sure we're going to get a copyright strike for that one because of the music, but it was worth it.
My excitement knows no bounds. Having an actor who can have fun with roles like Daniel Radcliffe and content like Weird Al's life. If you don't know anything about Weird Al, you've probably heard his songs. Like, if you have been alive in North America in the last 20 years, you've probably at least heard a Weird Al song.
So here's an interesting line, or an interesting sort of a note on Weird Al. He actually is coming to Spokane this year.
No way.
He's on tour, except he only is doing original music. He's not doing any parodies on this tour.
I'd be intrigued by that.
So I'm wondering how sales are going, as he is known for his parodies. I mean, it's what made him famous.
I'd argue that he's still relatively popular even outside of his music. Just looking at his online persona, he's kind of a golden child of the internet to a certain degree. Partially because of how he's managed to age well with the change in media. I mean, he had a couple of big hits on Vine. Every now and then he tweets, and his tweets tend to do well.
I'm sorry, I'm playing with this as we go.
No, by all means. Like back when Kid Rock released that music video, like, what was it, a few months ago?
Yeah.
Weird Al took to Twitter to be like, oh, hey, yeah, just to clarify, that wasn't actually me. That's actually Kid Rock.
It is.
His sense of humor is quite spectacular. But if you ever want a really cool read, go read about the life and times of Weird Al. It's a trip. It's a wild trip. His time in radio, I mean, his family deaths, like he's had a roller coaster of a life.
If you're interested in a movie that is so bad it's good, watch
UHF.
Watch his first movie, UHF. It's a cult classic. It sort of ranks up there with Army of Darkness as just so bad it's good that you can't help but keep watching it, even though you want to stab your eyes out with a knitting needle. It's one of those that,
and he's one of those people that is doing that intentionally. Like, he's sitting there intentionally cranking the dial of stupid up to an 11, not a 12, but an 11.
Yes,
it's a wonder to behold.
So on that note, I've been watching the show Burn Notice recently, and for those of you who haven't seen it, it's okay. But for those of you who are into Bruce Campbell, he has a supporting role in Burn Notice, and again, he's so bad, he's good. You can't help but watch the train wreck.
Yep.
He can't act worth a darn, but he is.
Bruce Campbell is like the best D-list celebrity ever.
Yes, if
he knows it and he revels in it.
Yes, he starred in a show. Hold on a second, I'm going. I
mean, if you like Army of Darkness, there is an Army of Darkness show, or Evil Dead show, I guess.
Yeah, but it wasn't as good. He was in. He really briefly. The show Burn Notice. No, it was before that. Before that, not the Love Bug. Oh. Yes, Jack of All Trades. So it's not available anywhere that I can find except on YouTube. You can catch episodes of Jack of All Trades. It is so bad. You will again want to stab your eyes out with knitting needles, but you won't be able to because you have to see how horrible of an actor Bruce Campbell is.
Just how dumb can it get?
Yes, how dumb can it get? That is Bruce Campbell.
It's a good time.
So until next week, we should give a teaser for next week. Again, do we have any idea what we're talking about?
We don't have a specific show yet in mind, although I think we're going to find something revolving around Tucker Carlson, my favorite. I think that's the plan, wasn't it?
Well, I don't know.
No. It was Bill O'Reilly and Jon Stewart.
Right, O'Reilly and Jon Stewart.
We're doing Bill O'Reilly and Jon Stewart. That's what
yes. Yes.
It's going to be another happy episode. Despite it being Bill O'Reilly, it's going to be a happy episode.
Yes, and I am a fan of Jon Stewart, actually.
I love him.
Yeah. It should be good. I just get so weary of the of the bad examples. I look forward to the good examples of how to have a conversation.
That's why we have the bad ones. They make the good ones shine a little bit brighter. You know, water tastes so much better when you're thirsty.
Maybe I should walk around with a dog turd in my hand. That way I would look better. No?
I don't think that's quite how it works.
Maybe that's why your mother walks around with me, to make her look so much better. Maybe that's why
now
she
you're
keeps
getting
me
it.
around.
Now you're getting it. Now you're figuring it out.
Instead of walking around with a T-shirt that says "I'm with him," she wears one with "I'm with him for a reason."
God.
The good news is your mother is not watching this episode, and so I don't have to worry about her hearing that.
Good Lord.
Oh gosh. Well, William, before we leave, do you have anything to say to our poor viewers?
Yeah, I do. Stay safe, don't die, and have a good afternoon.